All right, everybody. I'm Ryan, Trezian Racing. Just got home from work about 7 o'clock this Wednesday, October 2nd. As you can see, not getting a whole lot of light after I get home these days. So I guess we're officially in fall. Not too happy about the cold weather and not having any light when I get home, but it's a good thing my shop's got light because that's where I'm going. Pretty much working on the car for the first time since the last race. Just been really busy the last week and a half-ish with other things going on. But here I am, midweek before the race, gonna start working on the car here. Luckily, not a whole lot to do. If you watched the last race, you know about not really getting a setup in the car or not really writing it down. So I'm gonna get this thing kind of jacked up, get some air back in the tires, and just write down the setup I had in last time, measure everything, just so I can kind of get a baseline to go off of and stuff. And then I got a little bit of body work to do, but not too bad. I'm just gonna keep on running this body until it falls off, or next year, whatever comes first. So yeah, stay tuned. We're gonna go in the shop right now and start working. I got some goodies here. I don't know if you guys remember from my last video, but I wasn't able to oil up my air filter here. So I ended up going online and finding a big old bottle of it, K&N air filter oil. Ordered it up, ended up being on back order, so I returned it. Luckily, my dad had this laying around in his garage, and he doesn't need it anymore. He doesn't have anything with the K&N air filter, so gave it to me, which is very kind of him. And also got another little goodie box here from a fellow racer. Mike Walco came by last week sometime and brought a whole bunch of electrical tape and the biggest zip ties I've ever seen in my whole life. Look at these things. I don't know if you can see, but these things are just absolutely massive. I made a joke saying that you could probably hold the engine in with them. So we're gonna test these things out one day, I'm sure. So one thing I want to talk about for those of you that might not really be too familiar with dirt track racing is the amount of mud that we take home on our race cars from the track. This is actually not too bad, actually very light. Me and my crew got a pretty good crack at it when it's at the track, trying to knock all the mud off, but I mean there's always gonna be some more. I don't know really if you can see a whole bunch back there, but most of it's off. But pretty much all the tracks we race at around here are super heavy, and they collect a lot of mud on the race cars. And you get a lot in here in the cockpit and stuff, but I just want to show you guys what the difference in kind of clay is. So let me see if I can get my light right here. The 2 or 3, I guess, clumps on the left are from Antioch Speedway, and that's just like a Delta kind of clay, I think. It's not too sticky. When compared to the one on the right, which is from Petaluma, you can see the difference in color. The one on the right's like pretty much black, and they call that Adobe, I guess. But whatever it is, that stuff is sticky. It'll just stick to anything. And then if you look close enough, you can see that one of those clumps on the left is actually a big-ass rock. So that just kind of gives you a perspective on what is coming through this windshield sometimes. It's not just dirt. Sometimes you get a big old rock. Some tracks are better than others on having rocks in their dirt or not, but it can get hairy sometimes. You get a little ding on your helmet, you know there's some rocks in there, so. Looks about 3/4 of a tank. All right, guys. One of the things I want to talk about, just got the hood off right here, was this motor. So far, this motor is doing pretty good. Definitely don't feel like I'm underpowered like I was maybe last year and the year before. This thing's pretty stout so far. I'm sure if I was, 400 pounds lighter or 500 pounds lighter, it'd feel even better than it is. But even right now, I don't really feel like I'm that underpowered anymore, which is good. Even on that super hooked up and heavy track that we had last Saturday or 2 Saturdays ago at Antioch, it pulled really good. So I'm pretty happy with it. I built that motor end of last season, so I think I have about, I want to say like 7 or 8 races on it now. And in the process, I had to pull the cylinder heads off to do some valve train adjustments that I kind of missed when I built it. But anyways, when I pulled the heads off, I guess that was like 3 races ago now, I wasn't really impressed with the cylinder walls and the way they looked. They were getting really worn out. I'm not really sure exactly what the deal is there, but I'm probably gonna have to pull the motor out at the end of the season and just go through it, do the normal stuff. When I built this thing, I built it from scratch. I used good parts. I mean, pretty good parts, but not the best of the best. I didn't buy the lightest weight stuff or anything. I just bought good forged parts and stuff and put it all together. I got a deal on it. A lot of the stuff I bought was actually out of a package deal, out of a used motor. So that saved me quite a bit of money. But I built this motor from scratch, not really counting the intake because I already had that and the carb. But pretty much everything else, throughout the distributor too. I think I built it for about $3,500. And for one of these motors that's pretty stout, I mean, normally they go for close to 10 grand, depending on what class you're trying to run it in. If you're going to buy from like an engine builder, like a couple of the local guys, Bailey Brothers out in, I think, Vallejo or American Park or whatever the hell they want to call it. Those guys are pretty popular. They're normally like 10 grand or up. I mean, some of the guys I'm racing against, I'm sure, are in the 15s. Out of Antioch with their big roller cam motors and stuff. So it gets really expensive. So $3,500 for me, I can afford that, with my sponsors and everything. And it's decent. So I'm pretty happy with it. Just need to pull it apart and go through it again. But hopefully it just needs some bearings. And I'm hoping I can probably clean up the cylinder walls with like a ball hone, which I have here. And probably get some different pistons for it because I'm not really too fond of these ones. I think that's probably the reason why they're getting all scuffed up and stuff. But I've been watching the last couple of videos of my car, the GoPro out the back here, and I am getting some puffs of blue smoke, mostly on D-cell. So I'm assuming that might be related to the ring issue sealing with the cylinder wall, but I won't know until I pull it apart. But until then, I'm hoping that it holds up. The oil coming out of it looks pretty good and everything. So should be good to go for the next couple of races. But the next one I build is definitely going to be better. By far, I'm going to use some better parts and try to get this thing a little bit more horsepower, maybe run in the front a couple times. So stay tuned for that. But I'm going to get cracking. I'm going to take this air filter off, do that. I'm just going to probably run the valves, pull the valve covers off. Just check my valve lash and everything. I've been having an issue. If anybody's watching this and you got some tips for me, I've been having some vapor lock issues. After a long race, when there's a lot of heat generated under the hood, I can watch my fuel pressure drop from what it normally is around, I think this runs around 7 PSI or 8 PSI. It'll run down to 4, and sometimes it'll drop all the way down to 2. you know, after the race is over and stuff, and you're idling around in the pits getting teched or whatever. So I'm wondering if anybody has any tips on how to prevent that from happening. I know we really can't prevent heat from getting in here. Some duct work might work, but I'm wondering, this is, I think, a 3/8 hose. I'm not sure if maybe a 1/2 inch would help me out. Maybe somebody can give me some pointers there. So comment in the link below on YouTube or whatever. I'm going to post this on Facebook or something. And give me some pointers if you got any. All right, guys. As you can see, I put in my work for the night. I went ahead and went underneath the car just to kind of look everything over. Got it up on jack stands. Ended up finding a whole bunch more mud. I don't know if you can see this thing, if I get the light on it, but yeah, it's a couple big old clumps. So, yep, got a whole bunch more over there, and found a couple things I got to button up under there. A couple exhaust bolts are backing out. Had one of my brake line zip ties break off, and the radiator's full of mud. So I got some more work to do tomorrow and Friday, so I'll see you then. Thanks for watching. Please be sure to subscribe, comment, and like down below. Thank you for watching YouTube.